All photographs in today's video are made with the Canon R6 and the 800 f11, and I vlogged with my ZFC. Good morning to you, it's Phil Thatch, and I'm here along the Tennessee Riverpark. I come often to a place called Curtain Pole Road Pond, and it actually has two ponds. There's the upper pond, which is kind of a marsh, and this is the lower pond right here. And I learned recently from a friend of mine, Forrest, on Facebook, that there are hooded Mergansers here at the lower pond. So I've come down here to attempt to get a photograph of them. In this pond, there's kind of an island, and when I first got here, the ducks were right over there, and they saw me, and so they swam around to the backside of the island. But just as I started making this video clip, I've noticed that they've come around. They're on the very far side. It looks like at least 3 and maybe 4 males. So they're a long way off, too far for a decent photograph, but maybe if I hang around a while, I'll get a shot. There's really only about one spot where you can actually see through to the lower pond and make a photo, and I decided to leave that area and kind of let the birds hopefully come back, and maybe I could creep down there and see the hooded Mergansers. And as I was walking around where you could see the pond, but you can't get a photo of the pond because there's too much brush, I saw 3 male hooded Mergansers fly off. So they're not there anymore. So I decided to come on back up to the car. And while I was, this is what's beside the hiking path. The hiking path is down there. I'm off of it right now. But I was walking along here and saw all sorts of interesting birds. I saw a ruby-crowned kinglet and a downy woodpecker and others. But they were way too deep in the brush to get a shot. But as I came up to the top of this hill, right over there on the top of that brush pile was a beautiful brown thrasher, and I made a few photographs of it. There it is, the state bird of Georgia. It's the brown thrasher, and I was really happy to get a decent shot of this bird there on top of that brush pile because I had completely not gotten any shots of the hooded Mergansers that I had seen at the lower pond. I was making my way up to the upper pond, kind of passing the restroom there behind me and taking pictures of this, that, and the other thing. I saw lots of robins. And then I got to this area right here, and in these trees right up here were a number of cedar waxwings, which I really love making photos of them. I think a video that came out a week or two ago, I got some cedar waxwings, and there was a whole bunch of them, and they were really backlit, so that made it difficult, and the tree branches were thick, so it was hard to get a clear shot, but I'm pretty sure I made a photograph of at least one. And just on the other side of these woods is the upper Curtain Pole Road Pond, and I happen to see a hooded Merganser through there. So I'm going to go around to the normal viewing area and see if I can get a shot of the Mergansers. But for right now, let's look at the cedar waxwing. Here's a little tip for you. This time of year, and this was done in mid-December in Chattanooga, Tennessee, if you see a lot of robins, a whole lot of robins, upon closer inspection, you might find that some of those robins are beautiful cedar waxwings, and it's no big deal to get a picture of a robin because they're around all the time, but these cedar waxwings are not around all the time, and it's such a thrill to get a decent photograph of one of these cedar waxwings. Now, these photographs were extremely backlit. I had to do a lot of exposure compensation to get some light on the birds, and look at all of the thick brush that the birds were in. But even with all that, I was still very happy to get cedar waxwing photographs. Well, I followed a pair of hooded Mergansers, a mated pair, male and a female, all the way from the far end, way down there. That's kind of where the restroom was, where I checked in with you last time. And they don't come on the near side of the pond. They stay all the way at the back side because there's constantly people riding bicycles or walking or hiking or jogging up and down this trail. But I followed them all the way across to about here, and then they turned around. And I made a number of pictures of them, and while I was following them, unfortunately while I was behind some brush, another pair flew in. So there are now 2 mated pairs of hooded Mergansers here in the upper Curtain Pole Road Pond. And you know, I was a long way from them the whole time, so none of the pictures are going to be really good. Plus, you can't get down low because there's this railing. I tried to get down to the railing to make a lot of my shots because you know, you want to be lower. It gives you a better angle and makes the birds look better. But anyway, none of these are going to be great shots, but let's look at some hooded merganser shots from the upper Curtain Pole Road pond. Here are some photographs of hooded mergansers, and you can see these are all males. These 3 photographs I'm going to show you right now, and you can see that it can reshape the shape of its hooded area there on the back of its head. This one's almost fully extended, and then in this shot the hooded merganser has its hood not extended very far at all. But even though this one's not extended, I really like the way this shot looked. I had a good head angle on this particular photograph, and I didn't make many photographs of the female hooded mergansers. Here the hood is kind of halfway extended and halfway not extended. I like the warm tones in this photograph mixed with the cool tones where the water is reflecting the blue sky. Hooded merganser males, or drakes. I walked all the way back from the far end of the pond to the near end parking lot side of the pond, but I went on the pond side of the railing, which allowed me to get a little bit lower. And at one point I even climbed down to kind of the edge of the bank where there was a lot of brush kind of around me, and the ducks were right there. And I got some lower angle shots. I don't think anything really any good, but it was nice to get a lower angle. One thing about shooting from a lower angle, all the little branches and things coming up out of the pond, they're way more likely to block your shot if you're down low. So that made it a challenge. But if any of those came out any good, we'll look at them now. I have 3 shots to show you from my walk all the way back to the restroom and parking lot area from the wrong side of the path. And the first one is this beautiful northern cardinal male looking back at me like, hey man, you're on the wrong side of the walking path. And the rest of them are hooded mergansers. Now this is my favorite hooded merganser photograph of this entire video, and it's mainly because I was at a nice low angle. But a lot of times while I was down nice and low, there was wood and things in the way of the shot, so I don't have very many. And this is the only female hooded merganser photograph in the video. They're nowhere near as attractive in terms of their colors, but they are still very pretty. But I didn't take very many pictures of them, but I like this one because she had dipped her head in the water and she was shaking it, and there were water drops everywhere. I've walked all the way down now to a part of the Riverpark that is down from Curtain Pole Road, and it's 2 ponds, and now the Riverpark is back on the river. At Curtain Pole Road you can't even see the river, but from right here you can see the river, and the mountain in the background there is Lookout Mountain. And just to the right of Lookout Mountain is downtown Chattanooga, and also to the left. Downtown Chattanooga is kind of all through there. But the Tennessee River Park is a really awesome place to hang out. And occasionally you can find some really nice birds to photograph here. While I was down in this area of the River Park, I found some more cedar waxwing, and these were not up high in the tree. So I think I might have gotten a shot or 2 of some cedar waxwing with a green background instead of a sky background. I'm not thinking that these are going to be fantastic, but maybe a little bit better than the ones earlier. Once again, I found a number of American robins and decided to go ahead and make a photograph of one of the robins. And while I was taking robin pictures, I noticed that, what do you know, there's lots of cedar waxwings mixed in with them. They're hanging out in the same area because they were both feeding on the same thing. Here you see one of the cedar waxwings that's gone after a berry, and you see it's leaning way down to get that berry. It lost its balance and flew off immediately after I made this shot. Now this is probably my very favorite cedar waxwing photograph of the entire video, and it looks so quiet and peaceful and majestic there in this shot. But let me tell you, it was in that position for about 1.5 seconds, and during that 1.5 seconds, I laid on the shutter the entire time, and this was my favorite of those shots. Can you hear all those trains? There's a railroad switch yard not far at all from here. They make a lot of noise. As I walk my way back up to the parking area where I am now from the place down by the river where I talked to you before, I tried to find some more wildlife to photograph and didn't really find that much, but I did see a northern mockingbird, which of course is no big deal at all, and it was on the ground and it was feeding, and I kind of snuck up on it and stood behind a tree and got down really low and made a couple of photographs as it was hunting for ants. As I was walking back to the parking lot, I stopped at the lower pond and I did see this kingfisher, and it was so far away, but I made a small in the frame photo of this beautiful kingfisher as it was surveying the water below it, looking for possibly a fish to prey on. And here is the northern mockingbird photograph where it was preying on some ants. And I really thought this photo was going to turn out fantastic as I looked at it on the back of the camera. But looking at it now on a larger screen, I'm really not all that thrilled with it, but I decided to share it with you because I had described it in the video. All right, thanks for joining me from the Curtain Pole Road area of the Tennessee Riverpark today, where I attempted to do bird photography, as I often do, with the crazy Canon RF 800 f11 lens. Hope you enjoyed it, and I would appreciate a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.